acknowledge that the episodes in this series are produced on the traditional unceded lands of the Coast Salish peoples, which includes the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. We thank them for allowing us to be their guests.
And she was with another character named Joy, and my name's Kathleen Joy. It's like, this is meant to be.
yeah, right. You're gonna
editing it together at midnight,
Yeah, you're gonna get it. Yeah,
oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh yeah.
It's all self-taping now for everybody.
Oh,
right?
It's really changed things.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
At least you can do it. Do you like it?
Well, but there's a danger in that. I think
Yeah.
what we're seeing is that there's people are getting to set, and what I've heard, and I think what I've experienced as well, that lack of at least having that bit of adrenaline for an audition, then that adrenaline with the producer director that are in there when you go in for a callback, that it prepares you for being on set. I mean, ultimately, it's live. We all know that. You know, you talk to film actors, and there's a misunderstanding about why would you study theater or why would you study live performance? When we're on set, it's live, and you've got 100 people who are kind of paying attention or maybe not paying attention, but you're trying to change the room. You're trying to make that world come to life, and you've got everybody's attention. And that is really exciting and stressful, and that's the work of the actor. But all of these self-tapes where you can just read your lines off the ring light and do another take and do another take and do another take. And I don't think we're our own best editors, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
All the time. Yeah. Right, it inside when that's the one. You go, okay, that's the one. It's usually just the last one in a stream, But I think what's happening is actors are getting to set, and they haven't had the work of the adrenaline and the work of the performance aspect integrated into being on film, making it really casual. And with my husband, I'm in my basement, I'm just throwing it away. It's all those things. It's just, and you don't get that anymore. So I think we're seeing actually stuff that's happening on set. I've talked to a couple of actors who've wanted coachings, and I'm doing a fair amount of coaching now, and one of the things with that is they need to do it in front of somebody. They need to raise the stakes a little bit, even for the audition, or they've got the role, and they need to work with somebody on it just to raise the stakes.
It's like being in a first preview when you finally get on
exactly.
set. That jittery, where's my mark?
Yeah.
For sure, I can understand.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
What's my line?
Yeah.
Where am I? Oh shit, I forgot my pants.
I used to hate the audition process. I really did hate it for a long time. It took me a long time to embrace the audition
And
process.
did you? You were able
Eventually,
to?
yeah.
When?
I realized that I just had to do this, and it was kind of like stage fright, Like there was also a period of time where I didn't really have any big struggles with that, but I felt it. I think probably like everybody, and I finally worked my way out of that too, to where I wasn't afraid at all. This was like my home. Like you said, we're in the room. This is my room. And I think it was because I realized a lot of times the audience is more afraid than you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go into the audience and you think, you're tense and you're thinking, are they going to, on opening night, you're thinking, oh God, are they going to, blow it? Or, and you can hear sometimes the little hesitations and stuff like that.
Well, it speaks to being in the audience, doesn't it? It speaks to that exchange.
Yeah.
I was at a garden place over in North Van once, many years ago. We were living here, so maybe 10 years ago. And we were talking to this fellow that owns this landscaping place, and I said, oh, I'm in live theater, and he said, oh, I can't stand live theater. I said, wow, that's honest, you know.
Me too.
Really, really, really? Oh, okay. I said, oh, yeah, why, you know? And he said, you know, I just feel so much responsibility when I go that I feel like I have to, it's just so much responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think that's really true.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting to hear somebody who wasn't in the theater, you know, and who just found the interaction, he was responsible. He
Sure.
was responsible to it.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to what the exchange is and that responsibility that you just don't get from television. And now you know, everything can be flipped on.
Or you can
and
talk back.
Exactly, exactly. Or you can just turn it off. You know, it used
Yeah.
to be television commercial, and then
Yeah.
you'd come back. You could turn it, and you could turn it off. But now you can fast forward. You could watch it later.
Yeah,
you could,
watch it later. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I watch a lot of stuff like that.
Me too.
I watch things in installments, kind of.
Do you binge?
I don't. I did do some binging. There was when I was still working. We were living on Denman Island, and I was coming down to the city a fair amount, you know, to do
Yeah.
Da Vinci's and
Yeah.
stuff, or Romeo section or whatever. And I'd be there in the apartment, you know, and so I'd binge Game of Thrones. I'd watch like
Yeah,
5 episodes of Game of Thrones
Yeah,
and then go to bed, you know. But you know, have really awful dreams. But what else have we binged besides the Blue Jays? I know we want to talk to Kathy. I'm trying to remember. Okay, sorry.
I
Sorry,
want to know
okay.
what you've been.
Okay, stay on Kathy.
Stevie.
Yeah, sorry.
The walk.
Okay, so biographical information.
Oh.
I know you're from Calgary.
Yeah, Calgary,
Yeah.
Calgary, and Edmonton.
Yeah.
Edmonton, Alberta.
From both?
No,
How can you be
I just
from
like
both?
how Calgary is pronounced differently than how it's spelled, and
Yeah.
Edmonton is pronounced
Yeah,
different. It's like
yeah.
we can't put consonants in there or something when you're from Alberta. I don't know.
Edmonton.
Edmonton,
Try.
Edmonton, and Calgary,
Yeah.
Alberta. Yeah,
Yeah.
Alberta,
Yeah.
Alberta, Calgary, mountains.
Mountains.
Yeah,
Mountains and prairies.
mountains and prairies,
Yeah,
big
yeah.
sky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you were like in the city? You grew up in
Yeah.
the city, right in
Pretty
the city?
center,
Went
yeah.
to high school, Calgary,
Went to
Calgary
high
High?
school. Western Canada. I went to the same high school that my dad did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did I, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old building.
Old. It was a bomb shelter in the they'd
Wow.
they'd prepared it for any attacks in the Second World War. It was it was one of these high schools that was a gymnasium and a little building, and then they added onto it over the years.
Yeah.
But in the Second World War, it was, I don't know if it was
A-bombs and stuff. They were
what do they call those things that
fallout shelters.
fallout shelter?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We had that, yeah.
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 And so I went to high school there, and then I left when I was 18 and came out to UBC.
Were you already? Were you in the arts? Were you an artist? Did you think of yourself that way when you were a kid? I mean, you've got. Let me see. You've got sisters.
Yeah,
Right.
3.
3. Right.
Yeah. So I'm the third of 4 girls.
Third of 4 girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. That'll just tell you everything. There you go. That just sort of tells it all.
Yeah,
End of
right,
interview.
okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, I don't know. I just was interested in a lot of different things, and
Mhm.
I was into athletics.
Uh-huh.
I loved that. I loved team sports. I loved volleyball.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to be Alice in Wonderland, but then I had to play the March Hare with Miss Hopkins in grade 4. So maybe I'm still always trying
Trying to be Alice.
to be Alice.
That'll be the subtitle.
Yeah, trying to be Alice. I
Kathleen
liked
Duborg,
it though. It was
trying
so
to be
much
Alice.
fun.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of energy.
Yeah, I
yeah,
bet. Yeah.
a little too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. People used to say, "Do you drink a lot of coffee?" No. No, I don't. Do you eat a lot of chocolate? Somebody said to me once. No. No, sorry. I'll bring it down. I'll bring it down. Bring it down. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're there. You go through all that. Did you do plays in high school and stuff? Did you have acting? Did they have acting classes or theater? Or
I
anything like
did.
that? Yeah.
We did. And there was
Yeah.
a guy named Gary Stromsmo. at Western Canada High School, and they did have a theater, and there was a theater class, and I took it in grade 10, and high school there was grade 10, 11, and 12, and I took it because a friend of mine was taking it, and it was fun. I loved it. Calgary, of course, was the home of theater sports, right? So theater sports was really, really big, and Keith Johnstone's stuff, and so it was fun, right? That was the most fun you could possibly have.
Yeah.
But I was doing sciences, so I was in a lot of different things, and it just fell by the wayside. But then in grade 12 I had an option time, and so I took another class with Gary, who'd do all the sets. You know, he'd be there at 6 in the morning, and he'd be the last person to leave with the Sportsman's cigarette that was just the ash. You know, he'd be painting on the wall, and you're not supposed to smoke in a high school, but he'd be smoking sort of off, and these cigarettes, and he'd do different weird stuff. He was a great guy, really lovely guy. Yeah. And then when I went to school, I went to UBC, and I was thinking that I would study. I didn't know, once again, I did biology, and I did economics, and I took, my first year I took biology, math, economics, religious studies.
Whoa.
Just because it fit, and it was actually one of the best courses I took there was the religious studies course. I loved it. It was really interesting. Anthropology, and then I took Charlie Siegel's acting 101. It was just like this grab bag of all these things that I was interested in. And at that time, of course, you didn't have to clarify or declare what you were going to take.
Right.
And so I had lots of things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be my one sister was going to be a pilot. The other one, so you couldn't do those things. But I just could have done anything. I wanted to travel. I wanted to go on archaeology digs. That to me just sounded fabulous, So I kind of took all of these different things, including the acting, and that was really interesting. I met some really lovely people, and then had great teachers, I wish Pam was my anthropology teacher. I wish I could remember her last name. And she was exceptional. She was just exceptional. So by the time I got, and then second year, I took Peter Loeffler's theater class and a couple of other things. And then I just decided I was going to take anthropology, but I took a year off. So after my second year, I took a year off, but we got to be friends with all kinds of people in the theater department.
Right.
And we were the kids from Calgary, so we had a house, and a lot of those people were, Neil Ingram and Tom Jones and Tim Hyland and Mark Weatherly and, oh my goodness, Laura DeCicco and all these fabulous people, and it was fun, really, really fun. So I went away for a year and lived in Montreal, fell in love with a guy in Montreal, moved down there.
Right.
And then my sister was going to McGill, and I worked there, bartender. I was a really good bartender.
I bet.
And I applied to go to McGill in Concordia. After that year, I was, okay, I want to finish my degree. I don't know what I'm going to do, anthropology. Applied, got accepted. And it was literally the day of registration that I'd registered, and I was coming down the escalator, and I was working in a bar. I was having a blast. I was going home at 4 a.m. We'd bar closed at 3. We'd go for breakfast at 4 to 5, go home, we didn't stay up all night. And by the time I hit the bottom of the escalator after registration, I thought, I'm never going to go to class. Like, what am I doing? I'm not going to go to class if I stay here. And it was that moment that I decided I had to come back to Vancouver. It literally was, no, I got to go back.
There's no nightlife, yes, is it?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, where they roll the streets up at 9:30.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, right.
I know. It was sort of like, it was done.
Yeah.
I was done there.
Yeah.
And came back, and I was going to study anthropology, and Pam was going to be my mentor. And I ran into Peter Loeffler, who I'd taken his class.
Nice man.
Oh, my goodness.
Lovely guy.
Lovely guy. Yeah. Lovely guy. Inspiring.
Yeah.
Incredible guy.
Yeah.
And he said, he ran into me in the hallway because I was going to take like the 200 level acting class in the BA department. And he said, Kathy Duborg, you're the champagne of beers. You must be an actor. I said, no, I'm going to be an anthropologist. And he said, no, you're going to be an actor. And I said, no, actually, I'm just doing the 200 level class.
Yeah.
He goes, no, you must talk to Charlie. because you want to be in the BFA. Okay. So I walked away, and I had the audition, I think a couple of days later, and I was in the audition for the class, and I just mentioned to whoever was there, and Charlie was one of them, and Arnie Zaslov, and Rod Menzies, and Klaus, and I said, and it was September, right? They'd chosen the BFA class
Sure.
in April the year previously. I said, is there any room in the BFA? And they kind of went, oh my God, no, no. So I did my little audition, and I left, and I phoned the office, because at that time you had to phone to see if you made it into the class. And I phoned a couple of days later, and I said, hi, it's Kathy Duborg. Did I get into the 200 level class? And she said, no. Oh. I said, did I, just wondering, were there any changes to the BFA list? And she paused, and she looked at she paused, papers. No. Oh, okay. Thank you. Bye. And I was at my friend Shan's, waiting to find a place, and I walked out, and I was sitting on the lawn, and I was so sad. I was,
Yeah.
oh, wow,
Damn.
I really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I'm bummed. I really wanted to do that. And the phone rings, and Shan sticks her head out on that beautiful late August day, and she goes, Kathy, phone. I come back in, and it's Charlie Siegel, and he goes, Kathy, there's been a change, and you're in the class. So I don't know who dropped out. I always think it was Anthony Ingram, but he says he never did that. We have had this conversation many times. So he said, drop all your courses, you're in the BFA, and you'll be here for an extra year. So there I was.
Okay.
Totally.
Plans
Poof
right out the
anthropology.
window.
Poof. Poof those digs. Poof medicine. Poof any of that. Whatever that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny
Great.
how it just all turns in an instant.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's really nice. That's good. And so you were suddenly you were happy and relieved and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
then you got in there and you thought, gee, we need a bigger green room. These two showers really are small.
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you. It was a beautiful class, and it was lovely, and they were amazing people. And
Yeah, great.
I never knew what it was to study it. I think that was the thing, is I didn't know what acting was. So the process of studying it was the process of psychology and anthropology and archaeology.
Right. It could contain everything.
It could contain everything.
Yeah.
And it contained the body, it contained the physical body, it contained the vocal size, all of those kinds of things. So it was exceptionally exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah, so you came out, you were thinking, okay, well, I'm a trained actor now.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
right?
Now, did you do any film? What about film, movies and stuff? Were you into doing that when you were a student?
They
at
had
all?
one class
Yeah.
when we were graduating, which was smart, and we kind of shot this film, and it was one of those ones that's written for the actors, so it's got everybody in it, and everybody has something, but everybody has nothing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was great. I appreciated the attempt, and appreciated how that was. I really don't remember thinking that what I wanted to do was be in movies. I mean, I obviously did, because I loved movies. I loved film actors. I loved we were obsessed with Withnail and I, and all the things that were going on with film. But I just saw myself as a theater actor primarily, and then when I graduated out of UBC, I just ended up in film more than theater.
Now, when
for a
was
little
that? When
while.
did you get out? What was
So I got out in 1990.
1990s?
Yeah.
The movie thing was going pretty good around here
Yeah.
then.
So it was out, so all those things were David Duchovny. What was that?
Yeah, X-Files.
X-Files, my goodness.
Yeah.
So X-Files was going on, and Outer Limits, and all the Stargates, and all that. I mean, that was a little bit later, but all of that stuff.
What was your
started
first movie gig?
Oh, I did the commish
Oh, I did the
The
commission. Yeah,
commish.
right, yeah,
But
yeah.
here's the story with the commish. We were shooting down at the Fairmont Hotel, and I was, oh my God, it's classic. I was playing this very ditzy gal that meets him for a date, an online date, right? And so I'm strapped into my microphone and all the rest of it, and I'm off, and I enter, and hold, we've got a sound, we've got something, there's something clicking, there's something clicking, there's something clicking. There was all this to do about the clicking. What was me, I was so nervous on my heels that I was going on the marble floor. I was going
Oh, with your foot, like restless foot?
Yeah,
thing,
yeah, I was just so nervous that we were going and if you see this episode, I don't think I could have talked faster. I mean, it was perfect. I was the ditziest, most horrible date ever conceived in the entire world. It was perfect. It was just perfect casting.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so scared.
Yeah.
So scared, so nervous, so, you know, it's just overwhelming.
Was he nice to you?
He was very nice. Yeah. He
That's
was
good.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
stories.
I,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that, although I did something else. Yeah, it's funny those things. I say to all my students now, you know, part of your job is to actually make, if you're a lead in a series, and not that I have any right to say this, but I really believe this, part of a series when it's going well, when it goes, it's really the attitude and the grace of the leads with all the other people that are coming in and working with you on days or episodes and giving their all and then having to go away.
Yeah.
And it's hard because they're doing a lot. They've got a lot of lines. They've got a lot of days. It's exhausting. They're away from their families. They don't see anyone. But it's incredible. I was just on a show not too long ago, and the lead on that, a young actor, and she was exceptional.
Yeah.
She got it. She knew that coming around and saying hello and speaking to people and talking to people, how gracious that was.
Yeah.
And how it made everybody
Yeah, it really does.
feel welcome, feel worthy, feel validated, feel like we're part of the creative circle, part of that back and forth. And to me, it was with everybody in the entire piece. I mean, everybody was, the transport was kind, the craft services was kind, props was incredible. It goes all the way down from those people.
Yeah.
You know, and when a series goes a long time, I think it is because of the people that are in those
people
number
want to
one and
work
two
on it.
positions on the
People
call
want to
sheet.
do it, you know.
That's right.
I mean, if you've got a choice, if you ever have a choice between two gigs,
Yeah.
if that ever happens, and
Yeah.
you know, there's one that's a lot of people and they're great,
Yeah.
you know, and the money is relatively the same. That's the one you're
Yeah.
going to take.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
I mean, I've been on a few things, and I'm sure you have too, where the environment is completely different.
Yeah,
And it's just miserable, and you just can't wait to get out of it.
yeah,
You know, and you mainly are giving your all so you can go home.
yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really
so
yeah,
tricky
yeah,
because always the will of the actor, the will is to do your best.
yeah.
Always. I mean, it's the amazing thing about an actor is that you're never doing it to be shitty.
Yeah.
You're doing it to.
Oh, you don't have to worry about airplanes.
Wow, that's an interesting plane. Oh, it says surveillance on the
yeah.
side. Did you see that?
Yeah, I know. That's that's Vanity Fair. They're putting that up there because they're jealous of our
Surveillance.
YouTube
Oh, that
channel.
makes me feel right at home. Surveillance. Great. Big Brother? Maybe. Big red plane. A red plane,
A
too.
red- I don't know,
Surveillance.
that's weird, yeah.
Really?
It's weird. And it's turning to
It's a movie
yeah.
prop. That would be perfect.
yeah, the big red plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing though with COVID what that's done to people, you know,
Sure.
and just the theaters. We're blessed with theaters and writers and stage managers and designers and all those incredible people. I just
Yeah.
can hardly wait to, and it's going in some places and on some
Yeah.
levels too,
Yeah.
but it's
There's a lot more streaming. I think that's a good thing. I'm all for that.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm all for the ability to you know, have plays and
For sure.
have a track to convert
sure.
them, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you will never
Yeah.
replace that feeling
Uh-uh.
of being in the room.
No, it's great to be in the room. First gig is on the commish, right? Right?
Oh. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Then what?
Oh, I don't know.
Bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces, bits
Yeah.
and bobs.
Yeah.
Always did theater. Always
Yeah.
mixed in theater. Did some shows with, did a couple shows with Green Thumb, and then would do some TV and film, and then would do a play, and then would do a fringe show, and then some TV and film, and then a commercial, and then, you know, all of that stuff. It was never one thing. It was always groups of things. Film and television got pretty serious for me. I was doing a little bit more, got something on a series that went for about a year, and then so then I moved to Toronto, and I only did film in Toronto.
Right.
And that was great. It was nice to go down there. It was nice to be in a different ecology. It was nice to be sort of someone
new.
Well, yeah, you know, you got to be
Yeah.
have a fresh start and got to be seen for different things. And I found at that point, at that time, you know, if you'd been seen on the episodics here, then you couldn't do them again. Although I did 2 X-Files as different characters,
Right.
and so I went down to Toronto, and like many people from Vancouver at that time, our resumes were really good. You know, we
Yeah.
had a lot of different things that were on it.
Yeah.
And I found for me at that time, I was just getting seen for bigger things.
Yeah.
I was getting seen for features. I was getting seen, you know, did some of that work, and it was just nice to. It was a different thing. I felt like they looked at Canadian actors with a little bit more respect than they did here at that time.
Yeah.
And that was nice. You
Yeah,
know,
if you're looking
you start
for-
to take yourself a little bit more seriously when you're
Yeah.
given that
Yeah.
from the industry. You
Yeah.
know.
If you're looking for respect as an actor, Toronto with Stratford and Shaw and all
Yeah.
those places around, that's
Yeah.
the place to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I knew I
Yeah.
wanted to go back and do some theater, and I with all those incredible actors that were coming from Shaw and Stratford, and I had a boyfriend who'd done Shaw, and dear friends that had done Shaw
Yeah.
and Stratford, and you know, that was, I knew that if I wanted to do that, I was going to have to put myself on stage, find something where I could be seen, because nobody knew who I was and could have done the auditions, but there were so many incredible actors. So that was a little bit of thinking. But then I wanted to come home. My dad wasn't well, and getting out of that, when I was leaving Toronto, we got hit with, I was booked on a plane, and we got hit with with SARS, and it closed all the airports. I don't know if you remember that, but they
Right.
closed down the planes. You couldn't fly, and there was an ice storm in
Wow.
Toronto in
Whoa.
the same week.
Whoa.
It just all closed everything down, and
Wow.
yeah, Toronto was great. I liked Toronto. I liked Montreal when I lived there, and it was nice to go because you scratch that itch and you realize that that's maybe not the place where I wanted to be. You know,
Yeah.
where I wanted my life to be, and that's important. That's the most important thing, I think.
I was in Toronto for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
I had met some great people. Had a wonderful time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, got to do a couple of really nice things. You know, got to do a couple of things I hated. Anyway, yeah. So you come back. Here you are. You know,
come back.
you've got icicles hanging off. You know, you're
Oh,
coughing.
the wind.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
the wind.
yeah,
I had a lot of coats.
Yeah.
Basically had to have a box the size of a house just to move the coats back. You
Puffy
know.
coats and stuff.
Puffy coats.
Yeah.
Puffy coats. Yeah, we came back and came back.
You picked it up
Came
again.
back.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe how long, many years was that? And then I worked at the Gateway and did some work as an administrator and
Oh yeah.
acted and
Yeah. I didn't know you did that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was the artistic associate at the Gateway Theatre,
Okay.
which was the initial point to getting into directing, which was the realization that, and I'm sure you felt this too, I was never busy enough as an actor. I love acting, but I hate sitting around. I cannot sit around for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was always the idea behind the cold reading series, which we
Yeah.
started, Real Fast, the 48-hour movie making festival, all of those
Right.
things were because I couldn't stand sitting around. I hated it.
Yeah.
And so I always wanted to be working. I always wanted to be doing something. And got that job, and it was fun. It was really nice to be, Simon Johnson was there, and I was able to work with him, and he was kind and got me to assist him in a couple of things. And I got curious about that and applied to do my master's, and got in and did my MFA, and that was about 7 or 8 years ago. And really it was about going back to school. I don't think I realized that at the time, but what was terrific was I just was tired. I was just my inspiration of my own fault. You know, I didn't take enough classes, I didn't challenge myself maybe enough, but I was just not interested in what I was doing. And so going back to school was exceptional. It was the timing, and it was going back to the questions. It was going back, instead of results, instead of here, it was here, questions, another question that begets another question that begets another question. And there were some great teachers. Kirsty Johnson was out there, and she's an amazing teacher. Oh God, she's lovely.
Yeah.
And going back into the history of theater, and back into what is the mimetic form, and what is mimesis, and all these things that I hadn't thought about, and just opening up the catalog of theater again to interrogate the whole play, and interrogate it with an eye, a directorial eye, which just made the puzzle bigger. And it was so exciting to sit down with that. And Stephen Malloy was my thesis advisor, and he was really terrific. I so appreciated what he offered, and his silence, and his pushing the questions back to me, pushing the questions back to me. And it was exciting, and just back to the rehearsal room. And what do I like? I just want to be in the rehearsal room. It's why I teach. The only reason I teach is because I just want to be in the rehearsal room all the time.
That's great.
That's
really great.
I feel really lucky, actually.
Okay, and when you were there at the Gateway and you were doing that, did you when did you decide that you wanted to be a director, or was just something you thought? How did that emerge for you? Because I know that you're kind of like that.
I'm kind of like that.
I mean,
I am.
I'm
a bit of a bossy pants. A bit of a bossy pants. I have an opinion.
You have opinions.
That's the third daughter thing. There you go. Bring it round. I have an opinion.
You're going to listen to it.
That's why it took me so long. If I was the firstborn, I would have gotten to directing sooner.
Yeah.
Second, a little bit even sooner.
Yeah.
But third, you got to kind of
pay your dues.
Figure it out a little bit more before you speak, and don't cry while you're doing it. Otherwise, you're going to, lose.
Yeah. Yeah. Take that, Pauline.
Take that, yeah. It was great. It was so rewarding.
Yeah.
And so, and then I got out and then started doing things from a directorial perspective, and got a teaching gig, and did some teaching and did some directing and did a little bit of acting, and still kept that,
you
in
do
those
everything.
worlds.
Have you ever done voices? Did you
a little bit, but not too much
haven't done
animation. No,
no. They've never hired me to do that.
No, me neither, Steve. Yeah. They've never hired.
I know. What's wrong with my voice?
Well, that's what stimulates an actor. I say to people, it's make your own work.
Yeah.
Make your own work. Make your own work. Make your own work. Right?
Yeah.
How many things really are created because somebody didn't get the opportunity by somebody else, and they go out there and do it themselves? I think it's a great motivator.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a really marvelous kind of progression, which makes total sense to me, And now you're teaching in 4 places or something? What?
Yeah, I'm teaching in a few.
You said something. You sent an email to me where you said, "I feel like a fraud." Now, okay, we have another person we interviewed. I won't mention their name, but they were telling me about a class that they had done, and they had actually never done this before. They were teaching something they'd
Right.
never done. It was kind of like somebody doing an operation.
Right,
You know,
right.
this is a hernia. They said, no, that's a kneecap. You know, yeah, right. You know, and so, you know, do you have to you haven't had to overcome that?
Well, I did,
Yeah.
absolutely, because I guess coming at it, I know enough that there's so many different ways of doing it. And it really is about process. And it really is about a different character demands or asks for maybe a different part of a technique or a different part of you, a different perspective. You've got to develop and create that character. I mean, that's the exciting thing. It's the detective work. It's living in that. It's investigating it. I mean, if you don't like the investigation of what it is to perform, then that's where you'll know that acting's not for you, I think, in many ways, you know? I just find that young people and teaching is incredibly exciting, because it's not only what are we going to learn, but it's who is learning.
See,
You can't teach the same or the same to everyone. You have, you know, you can have the same principles and the same idea of what you want to teach, but everyone is coming at it from a different place,
Yeah.
a different level of experience, a different curiosity,
Yeah.
and so adapting that to try and get them to be present in an empathetic otherness, to listen with ears that maybe hear different things than they hear, you know, to see different things than they see, is just really exciting to go through that process. And I just love the work of it. I love the work of an actor. I love the work of trying to pull apart a play, pull apart a scene, find out what's going on, create something. You know, the whole adage of just make something happen, you know, just make something happen. You know, I think I heard that, and I think I've been accused of saying that too, you know, and I think I'm also in a creation process for myself of becoming a teacher, becoming an instructor, understanding that the only thing that I am as a teacher is understanding how to understand methodology and ways and then being able to offer and illuminate or point to that for people that have the same curiosities that I did or have curiosities.
Right.
And you know, these young people, I have so much respect. They won't all be actors. They know that. They're not stupid. They're not. They watch film and television, and you know, they know a lot about it.
Yeah.
You know, they don't come in and go, I need to know everything about it. They know tons, right? But I also feel that they haven't had an opportunity to feel their own voice.
right.
And that is one of the most incredible things, that you're sitting in a classroom
Totally liberating.
and a human being
Yeah.
finds a connection with a character maybe, but also with their own voice, with their own passion, with their own size, right?
Yeah.
You know, as somebody that was like, you know, settle down, you're a bit too enthusiastic, you know, all that stuff, to be able to live. And I think that that's what the theater was really for me, was that the theater was my size.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can't tell you how many times I had teachers going, can you just calm down? Can you just just put a lid on it, you know? Yeah. Okay, I'll try. But too much energy.
Do you feel that in terms of acting, that you need to go to acting anymore to learn about yourself? Have you figured out who you are now and all that? Do you or did you use acting? Did acting help you?
I think
You know.
anything teaches you about yourself.
Yeah.
Anybody who's doing anything, who's living through their life and their job at the same time, is going to be understanding themselves through their work, and likewise. I mean, it's a pretty weird thing to be standing up in front of a group of people and going through...
And being somebody else.
Well, going through the death of your child, and you don't have a child.
You've never
going
had
through,
one.
you know, something that you don't actually know, and yet you know, you have an analogous experience, or you use your imagination, or you see what you need to see. And so I don't know to answer that. I think acting is really challenging and hard sometimes. It's a creative circle with the groups of people, like anything where you're trying to build something with a group of people. So what it was it taught me some skills. It taught me things about myself that I didn't know. It challenged me. You know, I think that's how you learn, right?
Yeah.
You learn from the challenges.
Yeah.
You learn from the things that are hard.
Yeah.
You learn from the things that you don't do well.
From trying to do the things you want to do and failing.
Yeah,
and all that.
failing. Fail better,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, fail
you
better,
know,
for
fail
sure.
again.
Mhm.
Just do it again. Just fail. Just find the mistake.
Yeah, if you're not failing 3 or 4 times a week, you're not in the game, right?
That's what I say to my students all the time.
Yeah.
Let's find the wrong roads. They're going to be incredibly more fertile than the right roads. And we have this weird thing that we've got to find it right. We've got to do it correctly. And it's in the doing. It's
Learn
in the
to love
action.
being rejected. Yeah.
I think that's true, but I think that's true. I guess
It's hard.
I think I say it in a I try and understand. I try and skew that in my own mind and try and articulate that to students and myself, which is that when I go in for the audition, I want to leave it on the mat. I want to do my best interpretation, the best that I can do. And when I leave, it's not about if they cast me or not, because we all know, we've been in those casting situations. There's a million reasons why they don't cast you, or why they choose somebody else who had a brilliant day, who was just tremendous, right? As well. But you leave it on the mat. It's your work. You've done it. And an audition is a place to work. And that's, I think, another thing where doing the self-tapes has made it a bit more, less of an actual activity and more of an imposition in some ways. And while it was a pain to go to all those places and run around and have to leave work and, you know, all that, and let me tell you, I don't miss that in some ways.
The finding out the night before and driving in for 8:30 and to be somewhere, you know, and getting ready and all that. That's just a lot of rigmarole. You know.
I don't like that. I like the actual audition. I don't like all the other stuff getting there. Anyway.
Yeah. I like I say,
we audition less and less.
Yeah.
Oh, did I wish that?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't wish it anymore.
Yeah.
But the roles are better, so that's nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
We've got a wonderful view behind you. I guess we should say where we are. We're on what's called Burnaby Heights.
Now that the
right?
clouds
Burnaby
have lifted.
Heights. Is that where we are?
Burnaby Heights.
Burnaby Heights. We're looking across to the North Shore.
Yep.
To
so
North
that's Mount
Vancouver.
Seymour.
Yeah, Mount Seymour.
And the lions are there. You can't see them today. And there's grouse. And so this is the Burrard Inlet.
Yeah.
It's beautiful because
it is a lovely area. We used to live down around just over your left shoulder.
Didn't you work
Deep
at
Cove.
Deep Cove?
Yeah, we lived in Deep Cove for 16 years.
Remember you had the camper?
Yeah, we had the Volkswagen van.
Volkswagen.
We had 2 of them.
Did you?
Yeah, we had a...
Didn't you have an orange one?
We had a 73 and an 81. It was fun. It was nice living there.
I love being able to watch the clouds.
It's a beautiful place. We're very, very fortunate
so
that way.
Fortunate.
It's a gorgeous place to live.
Yeah.
And we've, from movie and TV wise, we've benefited from having all these locations.
Yeah.
You know, the locations is the big thing.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you go to Los Angeles, you've got streets. You know,
Yeah.
and maybe some beach here and there, Griffith Park, and that's about it. You know, and
Yeah.
you got to really drive out of town to go somewhere,
Yeah.
and you'll never get this. So
So I teach at UBC. I'm an adjunct prof there, and I teach at Vancouver Film School, and I teach at McIlroy Associates. I do a pro studio, so for professional film on-camera class, and I teach at Douglas College, and I'm direct there, and I'm teaching a class there now.
right.
And yeah, there's a couple things that I'd like to direct, but you know,
It's up to them.
well,
Up to someone
well, no, out there in the world, if things change from COVID, it would be nice
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah.
So the teaching takes up the majority of my time.
Takes up a lot of
Yeah,
time, eh?
It does.
Yeah.
And then so I haven't acted on stage in a while because if I've done any stage stuff, it's been directing.
Yeah.
So the film and television stuff fits in nicely, and I can do little bits and bobs, and it's fun. You know, it's nice to go onto set and be with a crew and see what's going on and photograph services.
Familiar faces sometimes.
Photograph
it's
services, you
really
know.
good. Yeah.
Fill my pockets with
Candy.
jujubes, you know,
Something for the ride home.
fruit bars,
Right.
Sprite.
Yeah.
Just have it there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all, why is she eating so much at craft services?
It's because she's an actor.
Because she's an actress. Yeah. Yeah. What I find so beautiful about is the trust that you have to have, and the kind of the bravery that you have to tackle a role and something that is, I mean, it's hard. It's not on stage or in the movie because it's easy for the character. Those scenes aren't there.
Yeah.
You know, it's generally going to be something that turns them
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
And a play can be a blender of things. And so it's a, I don't know, you know, you go through rehearsal, you plan it out, and then you stand on stage and you go, let's see what happens. You know,
Yeah,
Declan
right,
Donlan in The Actor and the Target, which I've been looking at a lot, actually talks about the invisible and the visible work, which I'm really interested in, and is very, very true. Obviously, all the stuff that you do that nobody will ever see, nobody will ever know, nobody
Yes.
really cares.
Right.
Of course not. But it's the thing that you can hold on to, that you can anchor into what the story is, and into the journey of this person, and into the bite and the taste and the life of that person. And I think that that's so exciting. I love that story. There was I can't remember where I read this, but there was a director, and he was directing a production of Medea, and he couldn't stand the sound that this woman was making, the woman that was playing Medea. It was just awful. He hated it, and kind of couldn't say anything, and you know, it was just really grating on him. And he unfortunately ended up in the hospital a couple of years later, where he was in the emergency room, and somebody was in there with a child that was in very dire predicaments. I don't know that part of the story, but this woman was wailing, and the sound was the same sound that actor had.
Yeah.
And that actor knew what that was.
Yeah.
That actor,
Yeah.
maybe they didn't know what it was, but they put the pieces in and came out with that in understanding or thinking, or, you know, young actors, or not young actors, but you always get the dilemma between method acting and, you know, the lure and the Marlon Brando the difference between the method acting and other forms of acting, and every acting student wants to understand what that is.
Yes.
And we see it now
Yes.
a lot
Yeah.
in pop culture about this guy goes to the gym at 4 in the morning, and this
Meryl
guy...
Streep hugging a bag of ice so she can feel what it's like to be dead. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of those kinds of things, which, you know, is fine. Whatever works. I mean, when you see Daniel Day-Lewis put on a pair of pants in Phantom Thread, and he's been working to understand what it is to stitch something and do the work that he does in his process, whatever that may be. He's putting on a pair of pants, and it is exquisite. You know that he knows those pants. And another person with less prep or would put them on differently, but there's something magical about the way he puts them on. So anyway, my point being that there's lots of different ways to understand how that process works.
Have you ever had to see the spaceship?
No, what's that?
As an actor, you know, you're doing movies and TV.
Yeah.
Eventually, you'll be doing a sci-fi movie, and you'll have to discover the spaceship.
Yeah.
Now,
Outer Limits.
that's a method thing right there. Or I mean, you're thinking, well, I've never seen a spaceship before. How am I gonna find that place? You know, and because if you saw one, maybe you'd start running, running out of the shot. You know, bye. You know, I'm gone. You know, or you know what you. But it's such a. I've only had to do it one time. You know, and when I had to do it, I was thinking, well, you know, like I don't have any tool in my toolbox to do this. You know, how am I going to find that? You know,
I was on Outer Limits, and we were doing a shot over my shoulder. It came around, so back of my head, then I backed up, and then it went down the tunnel. And we were shooting at Bridge Studios over here, and I leaned back, and they had this texturized board that was just these little rises on the floor, you know, to give it some dimension for the hallway of the spaceship.
Right.
And I went back on my hand to make room for the camera, and I came down, and I sort of fell. I kind of got off balance and fell, and landed on one of those little raised things. But my hand went one way, my pinky went on the other way of it. And so I went back, and it broke my finger into this L. You can see it. So it was in an L. It was literally an L.
Whoa.
And I looked down, and I had a ring on. It was the first day of shooting, and I had a ring on. And I went, oh! And I looked, and I just took my finger and went, snapped it back, and like pulled the ring off, and it was bad. I was in pain, and so they took me to the hospital, to emergency at Burnaby General, and the emergency doctor I knew from a frat party at UBC. Like, that was really weird. It's like, obviously you went through one door and I went through another door, and he said, what happened? And I said, I was on a spaceship, and this is what happened.
He said, right.
8
milligrams of...
That's right. I said, yeah, it was a spaceship. So that was the story of that. The whole episode.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know, it was the second incarnation of this. So it was the second one. They did a 2-parter on Outer Limits for this. And so this was the second one. So they couldn't recast me. I did the whole episode with this big, long sweater over my finger, which had this huge
cast or something.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of those metal things that goes that.
Yeah.
And somebody once told me that my intuition is affected because my finger's broken. It's like, really? Oh, that's too bad.
I've noticed.
But the spaceship, right? Well, the other thing that I think is interesting is how film and television is construed to be so, you know, dense and condensed and a different thing, and it is. It's clean. It's small. It's there's a different energy to what it is. But Game of Thrones. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It is well, Shakespeare is intimate compared to Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You know, what those kinds of things are, or comedy, or the styles that we're seeing, superhero films, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that connection to the physical form and the vocal form and the size of those things is really interesting.
Have you ever had to do motion capture or green screen stuff?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah.
And I love doing it.
Yeah.
I adore doing it. It's fun. I love physical movement. For me as a theater practitioner was definitely one of the sources.
Right.
I think my practice is always connected with the body.
Yeah.
You know, that's from Brenda Ledley.
Yeah.
That's Brenda bringing in Grotowski into UBC when she was a master's student. We didn't have that. We had Arnie Zaslov, who was Jacques Lecoq, getting all the clown and all the physical movement, the Gaulier stuff, which was the exactitude of movement and making sure that you have the accent points and great stuff. Really lovely, lovely stuff. And then Brenda bringing in the Grotowski as the body being really the source of invention and the source of imagination. And that was a real revolution. That was a real revolution. I think if I just stuck in my head or the intellectual side, I don't think I would have found my way down the road that I have, because
well, you want to unite the thing.
Yeah.
It's not just your head,
Trinity.
it's your whole, you know.
Yeah.
Did you ever dance? Did you?
No.
Yeah,
My mother always said, "You're like an elephant. I should have put you in dance." She's probably right. I can't move. I can't sing. really.
So you're a single
vastly
threat, is what you're saying.
Not even. I'm a 0.5 threat. Just a 0.5.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I make good sandwiches, so
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah, bring cookies to
Oh,
rehearsal.
always.
Yeah,
In
right,
fact, I was doing a reading last night.
Yeah.
We did a reading of Keith Barker's "This Is How I Got Here." Do you know that play?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's a beautiful, heartbreaking play. It's just incredible. And so we did a reading with 3 of my former students, and they're creating it and doing it. And so we sat and did it, and I went, "Oh my God, I need cookies." Ran across the street, got cookies, brought them back. It was 5 o'clock. Right? We were going to go probably till about 7:30. I don't have anything. You have to bring cookies.
Cookie break.
Yeah, I'm very good at
for
training
sure.
my students to bring cookies. Good. We've had good pumpkin spice. We've had chocolate chip cookies. It's only been 1 month.
This is what acting is all about, really.
It's all about the snacks. It's all about the snacks.
Craft service is a snack.
Craft services.
That's why I do it.
Cookies that people
Yeah.
bring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Angela Beaulieu, have you ever worked with her?
No.
Stage manager?
No.
Oh, best snacks.
No, I haven't worked. It's been so long for me. I really, I don't know anybody anymore. That's the other thing that I miss.
Yeah.
Is kind of the gang. I kind of miss that. Yeah, I really do.
But that's the thing, right? That rehearsal room is about a group of people creating something together.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
To me. When you're working with somebody and they take an idea and they go somewhere and bring another idea back, and you take that idea and it goes somewhere else, and it's so tremendous.
What a happy doggy. What's that doggy's name? Whoa. It's okay. You were happy until...
No, you see, Susie, that's just the way she has to get up. It feels very dramatic. She's a bit of a dramatic. Oh, she leaps to her feet. Oh, you're such a good girl. Oh, yeah. She's so happy.
What kind of dog is this?
She is just a Rosie dog. She has no idea what she is. She's a mix. She's, we got her she was up on Penticton. I think she has a bit of husky in her from the north. I think she's got a little border collie in her.
Her fur is amazing,
like
right?
a 60-pound Jack Russell Terrier.
Yeah.
He's so good. But she's got an interesting paint job.
Have you ever had to work with animals?
Well, yes.
And children and stuff?
Call of the Wild, which was the TV series that I did. And
yes, right. I remember.